Yo, shalom.
Shalom, yo.
Yo, I'm Black Ice.
And I'm Bakis.
Yo, welcome to the Black Narrative. Hope everybody had a great week. Tomorrow, Friday.
Man, the weeks have been going by like fast.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, man. So, well, this whole year been kind of like, well, since last year, honestly. It never slowed down since last year.
It feels like one big year.
Yeah, I see some people celebrating the a year of quarantine.
People are celebrating a year of quarantine. Celebrating?
They don't know what else to do, bro. But they want to party and they can't go out. But apparently, shalom everybody in the chat, and glad y'all here. Yeah, but you know, Texas and Mississippi signed a mandate to eliminate the whole mask thing.
Really?
So yeah, but yeah, you know, I guess they feel like the numbers are low enough that they can just take away the mask.
Okay.
And of course, you know, a lot of black people was upset about it, and but my thing was,
we're upset.
Yeah, but my thing was like, you know, this in January, Bow Wow was in Texas, and y'all was crowded in the club to see Bow Wow unmasked. So y'all wasn't concerned then. I'm already judging you that y'all came out for Bow Wow.
Man, so you're telling me in the middle of COVID, people went to Texas to see Bow Wow?
No, people in Texas, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, and then of course, Atlanta this weekend is Arkansas talking about it as well. Yeah, okay. I think I saw that. But yeah, also in Atlanta is the NBA All-Star weekend.
Okay.
So this is definitely, we need to stay at home this weekend because it's gonna be crazy. Because like, also weekend here is it's close to the Super Bowl type of event. I mean, there's a lot of events going on around the city and concerts, and but I imagine it's gonna be a different vibe because everything that's going on.
Yeah.
But it's funny that the mayor said, no, don't come to Atlanta to party, to come for the game. And like everybody come to the city to party.
Man,
nobody coming to see the game.
People are literally, people coming from out of state going to the clubs just because the clubs are open.
Yeah,
so people are coming here to party. Still.
Yeah, that's the way it is. But most of the natives here, we stay at home for stuff like that, man. You let them have it, you know, because there's so much foolishness. People come out of town with foolishness, and it's crazy. It's crazy out there as it is already, you know. Right. Yeah. So this morning. We had another show prepared for y'all.
Yeah, but
we was going a whole different direction.
Yeah.
But this morning I woke up early this morning and I saw this whole thing about this George Floyd policing act, and I'm like, okay. And Democrats have a way, you know, they have a way of being insulting with their wording, right. like they lift every voice, you know.
It's almost like they push that kind of they push a stereotype while feeling like they're with you. You know what I mean? I'm here with you, bro.
Right. Man. They so hip and in touch with things, right. And them proving that they're not.
Right.
You know, by using the George Floyd. Like, to me, they really ruined his name. Yeah. Basically, you know, I can't think of the word, but almost like they turned him into an idol.
They tarnished his name.
Yeah, they taking advantage of his name.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Like they just hijacked what made black people upset, and they hijacked it for their own use.
Right.
Almost like Black Lives Matter weaponizing the deaths. They take advantage of the deaths of black men for their own agenda.
Right.
And though they really don't care about black men.
Right. And it shows they're even opposed to black men.
Right. You know what I mean? So I feel like this is the same thing here with the Democrat Party. So I'm already suspicious for the fact that he calling it the George Floyd Policing Act. Like, you didn't just call it Police Reform Bill.
Yeah.
You need to be sure his name was in there. Because you know that's a trigger word. That's a word that trigger a lot of emotions for a lot of people.
Right.
You know?
And it's interesting because we actually there was a video of what's the house?
Yeah. It was a house. Yeah, AOC was speaking on it.
Yeah, and so they're all having the debates. You got the Republicans, you got the Democrats, and they're all saying the same talking points. You know, the Republicans, they're talking about you know, he wasn't no angel, all this, then the third, and this is defunding the police and this restricting the police. They got the Democrats, you know, 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and you know, they're saying the same things, but at the end of the day, how much do they care?
Yeah, I mean, they two sides of the same coin.
Right.
Because Biden said multiple times, and Kamala Harris, they said multiple times he do not want to defund the police.
Right.
In fact, he want to give them more money.
So why all of a sudden?
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know why like the news trying to spin this narrative of that, oh yeah, the Democrats want to defund the police. They never said that. You know, they had no intentions to, because like at the end of the day, like same way we black first, they white first.
At the end of the day,
they're white first. They white before they Republican.
Every
they white before they Democrat.
Is going to they're going to support their own community at the end of the day.
Yeah,
because America they view it as their country. They're not going to give it up to you unless it serves them.
I never get you know, Umar Johnson said some crazy things at time, but he said something real at one time. He said you can't empower the people you're trying to oppress.
Yeah,
and that's very true.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like somebody because like it's funny how many black people are they more pro-Democrat than pro-black.
Yeah,
you know
right.
And I remember I said something like, yo, you know, Joe hadn't done anything for us.
If anything, he's done things against us.
Right. And the first thing they did, they dropped a link to his Fair Housing Act thing.
Yeah.
And so, like,
Fair Housing.
Yeah, it's a Fair Housing Act. But, I mean, I've been through that website before.
Yeah.
So I sent the link right back at him. I like, well, go through the wording of this. They usually dropping words that people of color. You know what I mean? Like it's not for us, you know, and then we still have issues with housing. We still have redlining in 2021.
Right, exactly. And so with the Fair Housing Act, you know, a bunch of black folk are going to be surprised when they go and it's a bunch of Chinese people in the neighborhood. And you're like, how'd you guys get here? With the Fair Housing Act, I'm a person of color.
And we see it more and more. Like we watch other shows. I've been watching the Black Authority. I've been watching Tariq Nasheed and watching them share articles and more videos of them pushing the narrative of black or Asian crime allegedly, you know what I mean? And like we're not out to get Asians. Anything, it's always been the other way around. They're like I think if I go to YouTube, I can find a whole bunch of footage of Asians beating on black people.
So who's pushing this? Is the left? Is it the right?
It's the left. I mean, you know, like we were flavor of the month last year. You know, you know what I mean? So now Asians are flavor of the month now.
Right.
You know what I mean? The George Floyd thing is a way for politics. You're right. Yeah, man, you nailed it.
That's
yeah, Shalom. I'm glad you're here.
Shalom.
It's another distraction for reparation. You're right. Like every time they want reparation talk, something else happens. Because this come out of nowhere. And after we did research for tonight, we realized they did pass this act in the House last summer.
Yeah.
Right in the midst of all that.
Right.
And it never got past the Senate. And for my understanding, it's gonna happen again. So they doing all this debating, but in the end, it's still not gonna pass. But the way the news are spinning it, the reason we're not gonna get social criminal reform because the Republicans didn't allow it.
Right.
But you do go through the bill, the Democrats didn't really want that in the first place.
Exactly. It's both sides.
It's for show.
They're all playing on the same team at the end of the day.
Right. So we're gonna go through some of these articles but the main thing we're gonna go through the actual bill.
Yeah, that's the main.
That's the main.
That's gonna be the
thing.
meat and potatoes.
And I had to dig for the link for that, man. Because one thing I had to say about the Trump administration, those 4 years, it was kind of easy for me to find his executive orders and stuff that he did.
Right.
And I think I want to say Obama, I did find some of his kind of easy too. But with Biden stuff, I had to dig for it.
And that's
everything that Biden signed over 50 executive orders, and I had to dig for them to find them. To find these. This is see exactly what it says in there.
Right.
Because a lot of people they see the headlines and they think that's all in the bill, but these bills and these bills be hundreds of pages long.
Right.
There's so much stuff in there that they don't talk about or don't want to talk about. And that's why, I think oftentimes they wait to the very last minute to pass these bills.
Right.
You notice the stimulus package is about to get passed right near the deadline. Like they always wait to the very end to pass stuff.
Right.
Because then you don't have time to go through it.
Right.
You just want to get it passed at that point.
Because they have all these different bills. Who's going to be reading?
Filling the report.
Right.
They fill the report. So, so it's crazy, man. So we're going to take a quick look at some of this stuff here. So what I did here, I saw the first a bunch of headlines here about George Floyd and the act. So from there, I looked at some of the links. And so this one from Forbes.
Yeah. The
George Floyd Policing Act, House sweeping reform bill underpins swath of similar local legislation passed since May. And so basically, and a lot of these links are liberal.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So they try to make it seem like this is a sweeping reform and whatnot.
Like that's the big thing that they're gonna do for black folk.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a so-called fact sheet. I say so-called because, like I said, I just saw the article this morning, so I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I went through the full bill. We can kind of skim through some of it tonight together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here we will see what it says here, and then we can compare it to what we read in the actual bill.
Right.
That's what we're gonna do. All right. They said the work to end racial and religious profiling prohibits federal, state, and local law enforcement for racial, religious, and discriminatory profiling. Mandates training on racial, religious, and discriminatory profiling for all law enforcement. Requires law enforcement to collect data on all investigatory activities. Saving lives by banning chokeholds and no-knock warrants. It's supposed to ban chokeholds and corduroy holds at the federal level, and conditions law enforcement funding for state and local governments banning chokeholds, which that should have been banned anyway.
Right.
We did a show about this last year, and we were showing how the same cities that had issues with police brutality against black people were the same departments were getting trained by Israelis.
Right, and so they're getting their brutal tactics. I mean, they're actually trading off these brutal tactics with each other. The
same tactics they're using on the Palestinians, they're teaching the U.S. law enforcement to do that against us.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you haven't already, please hit the like button, share button, and after the live broadcast, we will be putting this live stream on our regular Black Narrative because we still on lockdown till May.
Right.
Like the other Black channel is Shadow Band, we banned.
Yeah. So we ain't gonna be back there for a little minute.
Yeah, but it's all good. Ban no-knock warrants in drug cases at the federal level and conditions law enforcement funding for state and local governments. Banning no-knock warrants at the local and state level. Requires that deadly force can be used only as a last resort and requires officers to employ de-escalation techniques first. Changes the standard to evaluate whether law enforcement use of force was justified from whether the force was reasonable to whether the force was necessary. Condition grants on state and local law enforcement agencies establishing the same use of force standard. You can go into that when you see the bill.
Yeah.
I got something to say about that. limit military equipment on American streets, and requires body cameras.
I mean, that I really doubt they're going to actually enforce that, especially with how you've been seeing how they've been militarizing the police. Yeah. And that was from Obama.
Yeah, yeah,
that was from Obama. Right, exactly. So I really doubt that's going to be a thing.
Yep, limits the transfer of military-grade equipment to state and local law enforcement. Requires federal uniform officers to wear body cameras, and requires state and local law enforcement to use existing federal funds to ensure the use of police body cameras. Requires marked federal police vehicles to have dashboard cameras. Hold police accountable in court. Makes it easier to prosecute offending officers by amending the federal criminal statute to prosecute police misconduct. The misery requirement in Section 18 U.S.C. Section 242 will be amended from willfulness to recklessness standard, and enables individuals to recover damages in civil court when law enforcement officers violate their constitutional rights by eliminating qualified immunity for law enforcement. And now, mind you, this is a fact sheet. This is not the actual bill yet. We'll show you the actual bill.
It's kind of like a little summary that they want you to go over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of put in people's head what's in there.
We're going to scoot down to this bottom one here. Requires the creation of law enforcement accreditation standard recommendations based on President Obama's task force on 21st century policing. Why his name get popping up? He's been out of office for years.
Right. And he back to blue.
Yeah, right. And here at the last thing they say here, stop sexual assault in law enforcement custody. Making it a crime for federal law enforcement officers to engage in a sexual act with an individual who's under arrest, in detention, or in custody. It prohibits consent as a defense to prosecution for unlawful conduct. Incentivizes states to set the same standards. Bro, why is this not already a law?
Seriously. I mean,
so are you implying that it's legal to do that now?
I mean, that's a really odd thing because, I mean, is that something they're already doing?
Yeah, so.
That's, for it to be that big, I mean, you already.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the officers, say you working the beat and you working, you try to get prostitutes.
Right.
And, the cop well, I'll let you go if you do me a favor type thing.
Right.
Like, it didn't matter how often it may happen. And they even probably had to be prostitutes. It could be a regular traffic stop for all we know.
Right, seriously.
And they doing these things, or they arrested somebody for DUI and they doing these things.
But you would have thought that's already illegal.
Yeah, it should already be illegal.
But corruption.
The way they word here, almost like it's legal until now.
Right.
It's interesting. So this next article is from Vox. The bill, and we just show you how they presenting this to the public. This is the narrative they're pushing out.
You got the Black Lives Matter. You got the big old fist.
Yeah, the ban chokeholds and will end qualified immunity for police officers. But they're not really going into detail what's in this in this bill. We're not gonna read through this because we're gonna go through the actual bill itself.
Right.
I see you there, Sloan.
Tigray Americans camouflage in all Black Lives Matter to international sympathy for their Tigray dictator's downfall and politics interests. Clever Tigray, resilient people.
Yeah,
we will win Tigray.
Man, yeah, they try to mix up with all Black Lives Matter because they did infiltrate that. Well, we already know about the organization itself.
I mean, the whole Black Lives Matter is not even. I mean, it's not about us.
Yeah, at all.
It's LGBT community organization.
Yo, so while we doing research for the bill for the George Floyd bill, I didn't know that they tried to pass it last summer. So you see here dated June 25th, 2020. They tried to pass it before. The House on Thursday passed Democrats' police reform bill. And this is when Trump was still in office. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2020 by a 22-36-181 vote. Three Republicans joined the Democrats to vote in favor of the bill, which is now heads to the Senate, which at the time was a Republican majority.
Right.
Where it isn't expected to get much traction. So I really believe they'd be passing stuff knowing they're gonna get stopped somewhere else.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, with a bill like this, they can say, well, because with politics, it's a game. So if they put out a bill like this and it gets stopped, they can say, well, at least we tried to put it forward.
All these people in the same city, man.
Yeah.
They see each other on a daily basis. They have lunch together. You have a whip. That's the title. This is whip up votes.
Right.
So your job is to talk to other people and gather votes. So they had these conversations before they before they present these bills.
Right.
So they know what's going to pass and not pass. Like, you ever seen that show House of Cards?
Nah, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's a great show. But basically, Kevin Spacey, he played a whip. His job was to whip up votes for his party.
Right.
And so he knew. So by the time they presented a bill to Congress, he already knew who's gonna vote what. You know, so it wasn't a guessing game. Oh, I hope they vote yes. I hope they vote no. He already knew beforehand because he spoke to everybody beforehand to see how they voted and what it would take to get their vote.
Right.
So same thing here. All right. So here, Ma, you can post a link. Okay. Yeah, Ma, you go ahead and post a link. This is the link to the actual bill.
Yeah. So
because too often people want to go off the go off the headlines and
the articles and all that.
Yeah, we like to share our source. So this is an actual bill, and as you can see, this is a very long bill. This is the whole bill. Yeah. You get these one-page articles, but all this is in the bill. So you see why I had enough time to go through all this.
Right.
Like, I'm still going. I'm still going. They threw all this in the bill. I went down to section 502. Don't tell how many pages this thing is.
Right. Goodness.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And mind you, scrolling is going to be a lot quicker than... imagine if you had to print that off.
Yeah, I can imagine how many pages this would be.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, in the link so the bond is posted the link to the actual bill, so you can see it for yourself, and maybe you want to read through it yourself.
Yeah.
And it got everybody's name in here, even Pelosi.
Yeah.
Clyburn.
Miss
Jackson. So we took a few notes in here, because we went through some of it before we went live. So you hear the table of contents.
Yeah.
They got police accountability, police transparency through data, improving police training and policies.
That's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah. And closing the law enforcement consent loophole. But it's in miscellaneous provisions. The wording here is so vague, man. So the first thing you see here, so this is right after we passed pretty much the table of contents of this bill.
Yeah.
The first thing we see right here was the Burn Grant Program. All right? Mm-hmm. The term Burn Grant Program means any grant program under Subpart 1 of Part E of Title 1 of the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act of 1968, without regard to whether the funds are characterized as being made available under the Edward Byrne Memorial State and local law enforcement assistance programs, the local government law enforcement block grants program, the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program, or otherwise. Why is this in here?
We can kind of look. Let's actually look through.
Yeah, because we didn't know what that was. We're like, who the hell is Byrne?
Right.
And why is it mentioned for something from 1968 in a bill from 2021?
Right.
So, we did a quick Google search here. All right. The Edward Byrne Memorial Justice, right here. It shows Edward Byrne is. But so the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program, or JAG, originates out of the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2005. Right. The program is named for New York City police officer Edward Byrne, who was killed in the line of duty in 1988 while protecting an immigrant witness who agreed to testify against drug dealers. And you've been following.
Really interesting.
Yeah. So you've been following what's been going on lately with Joe Biden, man. They've been putting a lot of emphasis on immigration.
Immigrants and other communities, basically trying to push us down to the bottom.
You read that.
And of course, the government knows most of us aren't going to read all that.
Yes.
So they make it long on purpose and also add hidden things into it.
No, Shalom. Yeah, you're right.
Nobody's really going to be reading it overall.
Nah. But
not even people in the house.
So the very first part right here, a grant program named after the guy who saved the immigrant witness.
So, and we're going over the definitions, but afterwards we can look to see where in the bill it actually is mentioned.
Yeah. And then 1968, this is during the LBJ era.
Yeah.
As we did a show. LBJ. So we supposed civil rights movement during a time when LBJ was president. Yeah. So this came from his era.
And wasn't he Jewish?
Yes, he was Jewish. We discovered that he was the first Jewish president, and this wasn't openly Jewish.
Yeah.
We had to dig deep to find his people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he definitely one of them. And sorry we had to use the word Jewish, but we're not trying to get flagged and get this channel banned too.
Oh, definitely not.
This is our backup channel. Oh, and we couldn't find anything on the cops grant program. It was like kind of vague, but it's part of the same Omnibus Crime Control Safe Streets Act of 1968.
But I mean, that is interesting because it just goes to show how much stuff. I mean, that's on the books. That's legally on the books, but you can't find it in Google.
Yeah, at all. We thought it was interesting.
But let's actually go into this and see. And right now we're going over definitions and see what it has to do with the bill.
Yeah. So we can keep going down here. This is interesting too. Indian tribe.
If it's about George Floyd, I don't think the man was a Native American.
We still like in the first page after the table of contents here. We ain't got to the real bill yet.
Yeah,
we just see some of these terms here. Like, okay, the term Indian tribe has the meaning given the term Indian tribe in Section 901 of Title 1 of the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act of 1968.
That bill is getting mentioned a lot.
A lot.
And if this bill is for us, why are they bringing other people into it?
They ain't mentioned us yet.
Yeah.
At all. And then and we tried looking up the section. We did a quick search and we couldn't find anything. Like I don't know if the full bill is online anywhere.
The closest thing we were able to get was at Wikipedia.
Yeah, the Wikipedia, but we knew it was signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson.
And I mean, it was basically a crime law. Something for the war on crime.
They established the Law Enforcement Assistance Administration. Yeah. Titled through the act that set rules for obtaining wiretap orders in the United States. This act was a major accomplishment on Johnson's war on crime. So you already talk about wiretapping,
right, in
this bill.
So let's see. Let's see if they reverse it, maybe.
Keep going down. The tribal law enforcement officer. The term tribal law enforcement officer means any officer, agent, or employee of an Indian tribe or the Bureau of Indian Affairs authorized by law or by a government agency to engage in or supervise the prevention, detection, and investigation of any violation of criminal law. Again, he ain't made it to us yet.
Right. What does it have to do with us?
Yeah, this is interesting. Just like same here. Deadly force. The term deadly force means that force which a reasonable person would consider likely to cause death or serious bodily harm, including the discharge of a firearm, a maneuver that restricts blood, oxygen flow to the brain, including chokeholds, strangleholds, neck restraints, neck holds, and other artery restraints, and multiple discharges of electronic control weapon. To me, it gets vague. We see deadly force later on in the bill, and I'll show you where. Mm. The use of force includes the use of a firearm, electronic control weapon, explosive device, chemical agent, such as pepper spray, baton, impact projectile, blunt instrument, hand, fist, foot.
Yeah.
Elbow. I mean, hell, you mentioned all the body parts here.
In the back.
K9, a vehicle against an individual. Yeah, so it goes deep. So they're trying to define all these things. All right, so Title 1, you got police accountability. All right. Deprivation of rights under color of law. Every word has a meaning in law. Like even the word citizen, like, it's the definition. It's like the words. Definition of words in the law books is different from our everyday meaning.
That's why they have the Black Laws Dictionary.
Yeah, because it's totally different, like almost like a whole different language.
Right.
But it also shows how unrighteous this country is, that you need a lawyer, like say biblical times.
Right.
He know the laws. These are laws is clear cut. No tricky wording or anything. Like, you know what it is.
Right, but you need a lawyer to be a translator.
Yeah, this is
because you really don't, because they can be talking about one thing, you don't even know what they're talking in regular English sense.
Yeah, they have a whole different conversation in front of your face, and you don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, the qualified immunity reform. The defendant was acting in good faith, or that the defendant believed reasonably or otherwise that his or her conduct was lawful at the time when the conduct was committed, or the rights, privileges, or immunity secured by the Constitution and laws were not clearly established at the time of deprivation by the defendant, or such at that time the state of the law was otherwise such that the defendant could not reasonably have been expected to know whether his or her conduct was lawful. It's like, I feel like the whole paragraph is talked in circles here. Right. So almost like you're not held responsible if you knew if you were breaking the law or not. And basically, cops can do that.
Right.
Because in America, laws change like every day. And so like you could be breaking law, you had no idea that a law was changed, but you would still be held liable for it. Right, you weren't informed of the law change. So we keep going down. We found some more. We found a lot of interesting stuff that you just browsing through. Oh yeah, the grants program. The Attorney General may award a grant to a state to assist the state in conducting pattern and practice investigations under Section 21041 of the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994. A state seeking a grant under paragraph 1 shall submit an application in such form at such time and containing such information as the Attorney General may require. And they may be authorized to be appropriated $100 million
Dang.
to the Attorney General for each of the fiscal years 2022 to 2024 to carry out this subsection. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Data on the excessive use of force. By striking the Attorney General, inserting the following. So I get to break down more definitions here. Yeah, this is how deep these bills go. You see these articles, you think it's like a 2-page bill, and it's like a whole book in itself.
Right.
Putting this stuff together. Yeah, this independent investigation. The term independent investigation means a criminal investigation or prosecution of a law enforcement officer's use of deadly force, including one or more of the following. Use an agency or civilian review board that investigates and independently reviews all allegations of use of deadly force made against law enforcement officers in the jurisdiction. Assigning of the Attorney General of the state in which the alleged use of deadly force was committed to conduct the criminal investigation and prosecution. Adopting a procedure under which an independent prosecutor is assigned to investigate and prosecute the case, including a procedure under which automatic referral is made to an independent prosecutor appointed and overseen by Attorney General of the state in which alleged use of deadly force was committed. Adopting a procedure under which an independent prosecutor is assigned to investigate and prosecute the case. When they say independent investigation,
yeah,
my thing is you could hire anybody. Who determines to be hired to investigate?
I mean, because it's independent at the end of the day.
Right. It doesn't say, independent still can mean it can be a bias.
Right.
And then say, especially if it's under the terms under the Attorney General.
Yeah.
The Attorney General is still trying to prosecute. They may get somebody who's going to kind of lean their way.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're paying them and you're looking for them, it's not like something where it's just assigned to you.
That's the vibe I'm getting from this. It's an independent prosecutor. Means with respect to a criminal investigation or prosecution of law enforcement officers' use of deadly force, a prosecutor who does not oversee or regularly rely on law enforcement agency by which the law enforcement officer on the investigation is employed, and will not be involved in prosecution in the ordinary course of the prosecutor's duty. So, what I got from this means a prosecutor is a prosecutor. A prosecutor works for the state.
Yeah.
So all you're telling me, you may get another prosecutor from another county somewhere, but they still all play for the same team. That's what I'm getting from this. I could be wrong, but from reading this, that's what I'm gathering from it.
And so far, there's nothing I'm seeing that's helping us.
Not yet. You ain't got to us yet. The Attorney General may award grants to eligible states and Indian tribes to assist in implementing an independent investigation of law enforcement statutes. They're talking money.
Right.
They're talking money for them, nothing for the people.
So the Attorney General may...
They are authorized to be appropriated to the Attorney General $750 million for fiscal years 2022 to 2024 to carry out this subsection.
To the Attorney General.
Grant. Like that's just a lot of money.
So they're just giving more money back into themselves, really.
And which that what Joe Biden said.
Yeah.
He said he want to give them more funding to do their job.
But what's interesting though is, when you actually looked at the video of the House, they're having a conversation and you had a lot of Republicans in the comments saying they're gonna defund the police, they're defunding the police, they're defunding the
They had no idea what's going on.
They're giving them more money.
Yeah.
like
really, they should be happy about this.
Seriously.
But they so caught up in the trick about the names, Republican and left and right, and
George Floyd.
George Floyd, yeah, they really triggered by that because we saw in the comment section, like he said, they had the House hearing thing on YouTube, and they had so many downvotes on the video, and so we went through reading through the comments.
Yeah.
And it was so many Republicans in there, like they still think that George Floyd died of an overdose, and why you naming a bill after a criminal? Like they're just going in on this guy.
Right.
So they were so triggered by the name George Floyd. It was obvious they had no idea what was in this bill.
I mean, at the end of the day, just like Biden said, he backs the blue. Just like Obama, they all are going to support the police at the end of the day.
Yeah, all presidents. Even Trump said he's like pro-police. Like, they're all pro-police.
So they're going to sneak in stuff in order to help the police out.
Yeah, you get a lot of money from these organizations. That's their people. All right, community-based organizations.
This one's interesting.
The term community-based organizations means a grassroots organization that monitors the issue of police misconduct and that has a local or national presence and membership, such as the NAACP.
Yeah.
You already know about them.
Right.
The American, which owned by the UISH.
Right.
The American Civil Liberties Union, the Unidos US, the National Urban League. I already know about them.
Right.
The National Congress of American Indians.
Yeah.
And the National Asia Pacific American Legal Consortium.
Which we talked about.
We just talked about them like a couple weeks ago.
The interesting thing with this term is, and mind you, this is a very legal document.
Yeah.
You really can't get more legal than actual bill.
Yeah.
And they consider the NAACP as a grassroots organization. It's a grassroots organization, man.
And they listed in the legal document.
Even though it started by white folk.
Yeah. By Jewish people.
Yeah.
Jewish lawyers. Yep. And then, like I said, you got the National Urban League, been around forever.
Yeah.
The National Congress of American Indians. You know, like we went in about how the Asian Americans got tangibles from Biden.
Yeah.
You know.
Already.
They asked for a certain percentage of people and everything in the cabinet. Like, they were very demanding.
Mm-hmm.
Something we should have done if we want some tangibles. Law enforcement accreditation organization means a professional law enforcement organization involved in the development of standards of accreditation for law enforcement agencies at the national, state, regional, or tribal level, such as Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. Yeah. So we're getting more definitions here. Keep going down here.
Yeah.
That we thought of interesting. Use of funds requirements. Once again, they referred to the Act of 1968 by LBJ.
Man, that bill's been coming up a lot.
Yeah. Use of funds required. You get more interesting. The use of funds. And like I say, the mod posted the link. You can see for yourself because this thing is long. Oversight. That could be. Oh, youth justice. I didn't see this. Youth justice and school safety. Uniform standards on youth justice and school safety that include best practices for law enforcement interaction and communication with children and youth, taking into consideration adolescent development and any disability.
Because I mean, think about how, you know, in a lot of our schools they have a police officer on campus, and they are being absolutely tyrannical when it comes to dealing with those kids.
They treat them like adults.
So let's see what they're gonna say for this.
The right to effective and timely notification of a parent or legal guardian of any law enforcement interaction, regardless of immigration status.
Regardless of immigration status,
the individuals involved. Yeah.
So
they be getting more rights than us.
So you see this bill. You're able to see their agenda with the bill.
Yeah.
Even if the bill doesn't get passed, somebody sat down, somebody wrote it. They keep bringing up Indian reservations. You know, what cases of police brutality have you been hearing on the Indian reservations? If the people policing them are their own people.
Yeah.
You know, first off. And another thing too is they keep bringing up the immigrants, the illegal immigrants.
Yeah, and then in the bill, the George Floyd policing bill.
Yeah.
Police reform bill.
And so you're seeing how this is supposed to be a bill for us. You know, people are going to look at this bill and be like, Biden tried to do this for us.
Right.
But they keep sneaking in that language in order to kind of dilute it.
Yo, if somebody come to you about this mess, just send them this video.
Yeah, please.
We going through it. We're going through it. The creation of positive school climates by improving school conditions, learning by eliminating school-based arrests and referrals to law enforcement, using evidence-based preventive measures and alternatives to school-based arrests and referrals to law enforcement, such as restorative justice and healing practices, and using school-wide positive behavioral interventions and supports. Man, at this point, man, if you're able to, keep your kids at home, go homeschool. Because we did a whole episode about the public school system, and we show how our black kids are like 10 times more likely to be placed in school suspension or be suspended or expelled. Right. And then we see all the school shooting. You know, school shootings went down to damn near zero because of this thing.
Right.
Like, I know it's a really inconvenience because, I know a lot of parents out there, and some are frustrated because they gotta work, and it's convenient having kids at home. But I don't think it'd be better to know that your kids at home safe, and then out here dealing with law enforcement that treating you worse than an adult with no rights, knowing there's no school shootings going on, and some of the other stuff, man. Like school's really out of control. Like we thought school was kind of bad growing up, man, but now, man, I really feel for these kids, man.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like more of a it feels more restrictive. You know what I mean? The school to prison pipeline has gotten a lot more intense.
Yeah.
You used to have teachers that used to care about the kids, but now
they're always using this as a Trojan horse. Yep, they are.
Yeah, and the thing is called the George Floyd bill.
Yeah, that was made obvious to me, but a lot of people wouldn't go over their heads because they see George Floyd, like, oh, they're doing it for us. I'm like, no, we still going through this bill. We ain't really seen anything for us yet. I mean, yeah, I wanted, but my thing is about the school thing. That should already be a thing.
Right.
That should already be a thing. That shouldn't be a new law.
Look at let me see. Go up. Technical assistance. Nah, go down. Performance evaluation. Let's see what that's about.
Performance evaluation. Each program, project, or activity funded under the section shall contain a monitoring component, which shall be developed pursuant to rules made by the Attorney General. The Attorney General getting a lot of power with this thing.
Yeah.
Each monitoring component required under subparagraph A shall include systematic identification and collection of data about activities, accomplishments, and programs throughout the duration of the program, project, or activity, and presentation of such data in a usable form. Yeah. Okay. So they're taking everything about America is about collecting data now.
Right.
Data for everything. Selected grant recipients should be evaluated on a local level as part of a national evaluation, pursuant to rules made by the Attorney General.
So they're still talking about what they're going to be giving out to their own people.
Yeah. Yep. Giving them more money. The Civilian Review Board defined. Independent, actively funded. So they give them more money. Investigative authority and subpoena power. Representative community diversity. What is this?
It's representative community diversity. So basically, it's one of those things where they want to make sure that the civilian review board reflects the community.
But yeah, I mean, I get that they're saying it should be a diverse board,
right?
But legally, what would determine that? What percentage? How many black people do you have? Is it one black person enough to say, "Oh, this is a diverse board"?
I mean, represents the community.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, so to me, it's kind of vague here. I have policy making authority. So yeah, they can conduct hearings, studies. Yeah, we heard that for that word last week, right? Reparation studies. Yeah, yeah, right here, Attorney General to conduct study.
All right, so let's actually see what the study is about.
The Attorney General shall conduct a nationwide study of the prevalence and effect of any law, rule, or procedure that allows law enforcement officer to delay the response to questions posed by a local internal affairs officer or review board on investigative integrity, prosecution of law enforcement misconduct, including pre-review warnings and termination policies. Yeah, as opposed to match who is in the community. Yeah, as opposed to, but and then my thing too, it depends how they put the board together. That black person may be one of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Seriously.
Like, yeah, we got a black guy here, and but he one of them though.
But he's Uncle Ruckus.
Yeah. So yeah, but I understand, you do have to have data for this stuff. So I can't say I'm against collecting data. To me, it's how you collecting the data,
right?
And what type of data you're collecting and how it's being used.
It's at the end of the day.
Yeah, because even in science, you have to collect data to prove what's what. I mean, I get that.
National Task Force on Law Enforcement Oversight.
Mm.
There is established within the Department of Justice a task force to be known as the Task Force on Law Enforcement Oversight, hereinafter in the section referred as the task force. So, are they going to police the police?
Yeah, you're right.
So, composition. The task force shall be composed of individuals appointed by the Attorney General. So, the people that are going to be overseeing the police are going to be appointed by the people who back the blue.
Basically.
The
Attorney General not going against the police.
who shall appoint not less than one individual from each of the following. Thus, the special litigation section of the Civil Rights Division, and you know they're not for us.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The criminal section of the Civil Rights Division, the Federal Coordination and Compliance section of the Civil Rights Division, the Employment Litigation section of the Civil Rights Division, Disability Rights section of the Civil Rights Division, the Office of Justice Programs, the Office of Community Oriented Policing Services,
Cops.
Yeah, from that
Oh, from the grant we saw earlier.
From the grant earlier.
Okay, so that what it really means.
Yeah.
That's why we couldn't find it earlier.
So it's gonna be one of their own. Again, the Corruption/Civil Rights section of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Community.
I thought they had internal affairs for that. At least that's what I saw when I watched Law and Order. Law and Order always has internal affairs. I thought that's how it worked.
I guess they don't. I guess they gotta buckle down and get some more.
Or SVU, they had internal affairs.
Right. So all these different things that you're seeing. Okay, let's see the last one. The unit within the Department of Justice assigned as a liaisons for the review boards. I'm having trouble tonight. But man, I mean, they're basically appointing their own to watch over their own.
So it's basically nothing's changing.
I mean,
that's how it already works already. That's already how it works. Like I said, and this is the actual bill, y'all. This is the actual bill that they passed through the House. The Democrats passed.
The one about George Floyd.
Yeah, for George Floyd. Yeah, in his honor. Disciplinary records just aggregated by whether the complaint involves the use of force or racial profiling. I think it's about this more lower, as we saw earlier.
Yeah, let's try to find something meaningful. Right, go on. Let me see.
Oh, I just thought something interesting.
Yeah.
What's this?
Wait. Let's deal with this first.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so certification requirements for hiring law enforcement officers. Okay. In general, beginning in the first fiscal year that begins after the date, that is 1 year after the date of the enactment of this act, a state or unit of local government other than the Indian tribe may not receive funds under the Byron Grant program for the fiscal year if on the day before the first of the fiscal year, the state or unit of local government has not submitted the Attorney General evidence that the state or unit of local government has a certification and discertification program for purposes of employment as a law enforcement officer in the state or unit of local government that is consistent with the rules made under subsection C, and submitted the National Police Misconduct Registry established under Section 201 records demonstrated that all law enforcement officers of the state or unit of local government had completed all state certification requirements during the 1 year period preceding the fiscal year. Availability information. Let's actually try to find those sections if we could.
Yeah.
Availability information. The Attorney General shall make available to law enforcement agencies all information in the registry under Section 201 for purposes of compliance with the certification and discertification programs described in subsection A1 and considering applications for employment. Rules. The Attorney General shall make rules to carry out this section in Section 201, including uniform reporting standards. So let's go to Section 201 first. Okay. And then we go to, let me see, subsection A1. Are these all in 201?
Oh, so we just passed 201.
Yeah, let's see what.
Let's just go up. Did we pass 201? Because right here it's like, oh, no.
It's 221.
Yeah, so did we pass 201?
Yeah, so let's actually go back to 201.
Right here?
Yeah. Let's see. So, in general, not later than 180 days after the date of enactment of this act, the Attorney General shall establish a National Police Misconduct Registry to be compiled and maintained by the Department of Justice. Okay. Contents of registry. The registry requires to be established under Section A under subsection A shall contain the following data with respect to all federal and local enforcement officers. Each complaint filed against a law enforcement officer aggravated by complaints that were found to be credible or the result in disciplinary action against the law enforcement officer, disaggregated by whether the complaint involved a use of force or racial profiling, such as term is defined in Section 302. I mean, this seems like something that should already be on the books. Yeah. So one thing's referring to another thing.
Oh man, what's the 5 racial profiling?
So let me see. Let's try to find the actual definition.
Yeah, because this is a section in the Racial and Religious Profiling Act.
Yeah, let's scroll down a little bit.
Yeah.
So racial profiling, in general, the term racial profiling means the practice of a law enforcement agent.
Our faces are blocking it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
The term racial profiling means the practice of a law enforcement agent or agency relying to any degree on actual or perceived race, ethnicity, national origin, religion, gender identity, or sexual orientation in selecting whether individual or subject to which individual or subject to routine or spontaneously investigatory. A spontaneous investigatory. Oh man, these words will trip me up. Activities or in deciding upon the scope and substance of law enforcement activity following the initial investigatory process, except when there is trustworthy information relevant to the location, the time frame, that links a person with a particular characteristic described in the paragraph to an identified criminal incident or scheme. Exception. For purposes of paragraph A, a tribal law enforcement officer exercising law enforcement authority within Indian country, as that term is defined in section. All this bouncing around, man. Section 1151 of Title 18 United States Code is not considered to be racial profiling with respect to making key jurisdictional determinations that are necessarily tied to reliance on actual or perceived race, ethnicity, or tribal affliction.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they have a different law code with them. But man, all this bouncing around.
But even the fact that they didn't mention them in this bill.
Right.
Says like someone who wrote this bill had to be familiar with the U.S. law and I guess the tribal law.
Right. But let's go back to 201 and see what.
Go back because we stopped at the Pride Act.
Yeah, I feel like there was more in 201 that we needed to cover.
Oh, back to 201. Okay.
Yeah, because they had several things going back to 201, several definitions. So let's see. Okay. In general, 3. Federal agency report. Okay, so basically just going down to see what they're talking about as far as restrictions. So let's just read off 201 since they mentioned it so much. Specifically A1 and C. So let's see A1. Scroll up a bit. A1 in general. Okay, so that we got that.
Yeah, you already read that.
So each complaint filed against law.
So you read that. Yeah, you read.
So that's A1 that they were referring to.
Yeah.
So basically what should already be done. Yeah. And let's see section C, federal agency reporting requirements. Not later than 1 year after the date of enactment of this act and every 6 months thereafter, the head of each federal law enforcement agency shall submit to the Attorney General the information described in subsection B. All right, let's see what subsection B is. Goodness, they keep bouncing around. No, scroll up. Subsection B. Let me see. Each complaint filed against law enforcement officers aggregated by complaints that were found on credible results of disciplinary action against law enforcement officer. I mean, complaints of...
They get you in circles. Yeah, at first I thought it was about something else here when they said the Pride Act.
Yeah, man, because I mean, going through and actually reading that, it's just bouncing around to the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just repeating the same thing over and over again.
But this doesn't refer to the gay community here. It means policing, reporting, information, data, and evidence at the 2021 or the Pride Act of 2021. That is so misleading here.
I feel like they probably did it to mess with
I feel like they did that on purpose.
Right.
Cause you see the word pride, you thinking the community. But
already.
Yeah. You were petty.
Right.
Oh man, so let's keep going down here. We found interesting stuff I want to cover that caught my eye. No, excuse me. Incidents reported under Death and Custody Reporting Act. So I guess that's something that we towards what happened to Senator Bland, right? Because she died in custody.
Right.
Ineligibility for funds.
Let's see.
So who determines if the complaints are credible? I guess the Attorney General, from my understanding, would seem like
one of them.
It was just one of them. Like to me, the system doesn't change. Like to me, this is how things are running now.
And that's the thing about it, because we're trying to look in the bill to see where does the change come in?
Where's the reform at?
Right, where's this big thing for black folk?
Yeah. To be calling and naming after George Floyd.
This is supposed to be our bill.
And you're literally going through here, and like I said, this is the actual bill we're looking at here. This not any articles
here. So if you guys are able to go through the bill and find something to tell us,
educate us about this thing.
Yeah.
Improving police training and policies, and of course the Racial and Profiling Act.
Yeah, let's see what they're talking about there.
So the cover program means any program or activity funded in whole or in part with funds made available under the Burn Grant Program. If you just showed you that at the beginning.
So, and this program is dealing with cops.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, at the end of the day, so they're really just touching more base with the cops.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's all for them.
Yeah.
The cops grant program, which we found a real definition of that.
Except the No Program project. I mean, there's nothing new.
Yeah, it's nothing new here that I'm seeing that really stands out to me. We already read about the racial profiling, but to me, like that's something that has to be. It's nothing you can really define that as in court.
Right.
So you can fight against. The routine of spontaneous investigatory activities means the following activities by a law enforcement agent: interviews, traffic stops, pedestrian stops, frisk, and other types of body searches. Consensual or non-consensual searches of the person, property, or possessions, including vehicles or individuals using any form of public or private transportation, including motorists and pedestrians. Data collection and analysts, assessments, and predicted investigations. Inspections and interviews of entrance into the United States that are more extensive than those customarily carried out. Immigration-related workplace investigations. They get a lot of protections here, man.
Yeah.
Such as other types of law enforcement encounters and compiled for or by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, I guess the FBI, and the Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Statistics. So reasonable request. So this is all about data. This is collecting data. So we keep going down here. Okay, you had to collect data, all these things. I see that.
Policies to eliminate racial profiling. Let's look into that.
I don't see what's the policy at.
Let me see. In general, federal law enforcement agencies shall maintain adequate policies and procedures assigned to eliminate racial profiling and cease existing practices that permit racial profiling. Policies. The policies and procedures are described in subsection A1. Shall include prohibition of racial profiling. What does that mean?
You know what I'm saying? Like what this stuff means?
Mind you, this is the bill. This is the actual bill.
Yeah, these are very, very general statements that they're making here.
So you're gonna stop racial profiling by stopping racial profiling. This is the bill, yo. Training on racial profiling issues as part of federal law enforcement training. Don't they really do that?
Yeah, they have training.
The collection of data in accordance with the regulations issued by the Attorney General under Section 341.
Yeah.
I guess that's something we can look at. Procedures of receiving, investigating, and responding meaningfully to complaints alleging racial profiling by law enforcement agents, and any other policies and procedures the Attorney General determines to be necessary to eliminate racial profiling by federal law enforcement agencies. So let's read over that. Any other policies and procedures that the Attorney General determines to be necessary to eliminate racial profiling by federal law enforcement agencies. So that's not written down.
No, and it's determined by them, however they seem deemed fit.
So it's not written down in the law. That was very vague.
Yeah.
So they're trying to eliminate racial profiling, and
that's nothing here says anything about racial profiling to me. Like,
it's basically just saying what you would expect.
Yeah.
Mind you, the lawmakers got together and wrote this.
Yeah.
And you know how intricate some laws are. But when it comes to us and racial profiling.
Yeah, it is very vague. Oh my gosh. Penal code illegalizing your existence. Basically.
Yeah.
That was about to go into. And see, actually, that's the direction of the show we wanted to go with tonight. We were going to, we had another direction for the show tonight, showing how another country did that, how they got rid of their black people.
Yeah.
Legally.
And it's funny because they have a tie with the Nazis and the whole eugenics thing, which was big in America.
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah.
341.
This data collection, which kind of know, collecting data. All this is collecting data.
But that's what the racial profiling referred to. Yeah. So they're just referring to back to this about collecting data.
That's it.
So it's just everything's just bouncing off each other while saying
back and forth.
Right.
They didn't say anything at all. Yeah. One thing I saw too was I found something interesting here. We go to here. 1994. That's towards it. This towards the bottom? No, go up. That's it. Yeah. Incidents reported under Death and Custody Reporting Act. A state or Indian tribe is not required to report. Is not required to include in a report under subsection A1 incident reported by a state or Indian tribe according to section 20104 of the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994. I like this. Sounds familiar. It's a crime bill.
So they got a nice blast from the past when it comes to in the George Floyd bill.
The Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994, commonly referred to as the 1994 Crime Bill, the Clinton Crime Bill, or the Biden Crime Law, is an act of Congress dealing with the crime and law enforcement. It became law in 1994. It is the largest crime bill in the history of the United States and consisted of 356 pages that provided 100,000 new peace officers, right. $9.7 billion in funding for prisons, and $6.1 billion for funding for prevention programs, which were designed with significant input from experienced police officers. Sponsored by the U.S. Representative Jack Brooks of Texas, the bill was passed by Congress and signed into law by President Bill Clinton. Then Senator Joe Biden of Delaware drafted the Senate version of legislation in cooperation with the National Association of Police Organizations, also incorporating the Violence Against Women Act with Senator Orrin Hatch. So this was in this bill.
And what's interesting about this is, Joe Biden was a big proponent of the 1994 crime bill.
Yeah, he said he kind of wrote it in the Senate. He was responsible for it.
Why didn't he go back and repeal it? Mm-hmm. Why didn't he go back?
He meant what he said.
He said over and over again that he meant to do that bill. He had no remorse for it.
Yeah.
He even said Hillary Clinton feeling sorry about the bill. What's wrong with her?
Yeah. Right. He did.
So
he said that on record.
Wouldn't that be a really nice gesture for the black community if he went back and repealed that bill?
Yeah.
But no, he has this bill which helps racial profiling. By saying, no, don't do that.
Yeah, because it said a state or Indian tribe is not required to include in a report. This instance reported under the Death and Custody Reporting Act. So, they're saying that they don't have to report these deaths that happen in custody. That's what I'm kind of getting from this.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess they operate more as their own thing.
Yeah. So, all this is about money, man. Yeah. All this is about money and giving control to the Attorney General, what they already have.
So what we're seeing so far is, more money is going to be given to the Attorney General. The Attorney General is going to be behind making sure certain things. The regulation is going to be done by the Attorney General, who's already back in the blue.
Yeah, basically.
At the end of the day.
One thing we haven't seen in here.
What?
Nobody say anything about the grand jury.
Right.
Because when these murders happen with police against black people, and they usually take it to a grand jury with this anonymous people.
Right.
You know, and they get a judgment on it, whether they go to trial or not. And so basically, yeah, they usually always go in the officer's direction because it's a grand jury. Like, they don't have to expose themselves on record. And I don't see any mention of this in this bill.
I mean, you want to actually try to look up that term?
Yeah, no, it doesn't hurt. Yeah, see if you can find the word term. Oh, it says 0.
Yeah, let's look up grand. He ain't even look up jury.
Okay, it said only 6 times it mentioned jury.
Injury.
All
right, that doesn't count. Jury. Injury. All right.
Injury.
Yeah.
Injury.
So nothing actually having to deal with
the jury or the grand jury or anything of that sort.
So this doesn't reform the actual court system. It's not really. Let's get into it.
Look right here. Limitation on use of footage as evidence. Any body camera video footage recorded by a federal law enforcement officer that violates this part or any other applicable law may not be offered as evidence by any government entity, agency, department, prosecutorial office, or any other subdivision thereof in any criminal or civil action or proceeding against any member of the public.
You're kidding me.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Everyone's saying, like, they don't have to use evidence against themselves in court if it's caught on camera here.
But it's for us. Man, look, y'all, this bill ain't for us at the end of the day. And we've been reading through, we've been trying to look.
Yeah, if you've been digging through this thing, that's wild. And see, and they say I have a requirement for body cameras. And to me, when I see that, what it says to me is also money because that's a contract.
Right.
Somebody provide cameras for all these apartments. You know how much money that is to get a government contract and something like that?
That's a lot, man.
That's a lot. Wow. Keep going down. That got a little juicy right there, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Each federal law enforcement agency shall install in-car video camera recording equipment in all patrol vehicles with recording medium capable of recording for a period of 10 hours or more and capable of making audio recordings with the assistance of a wireless microphone. So to me, this is money.
Right.
Like, you requiring every single vehicle to be outfitted with a video camera and a microphone.
Right.
And you have requirements here. So yeah, you gotta be able to record 10 hours or more. Outside of parole vehicle, whenever a federal law enforcement officer is assigned that patrol vehicle is conducting an enforcement or investigative stop. Patrol vehicle emergency lights are activated and will otherwise be activated if not for the need to conceal the presence of law enforcement. So you want to creep up the hen.
Right.
Yeah. Officer reasonably believes recording may assist with prosecution, enhance safety, or for any lawful purpose and inside the vehicle when transporting an arrestee, or when officer reasonably believes recording may assist with prosecution, enhance safety, or any lawful purpose.
May assist prosecution.
This word bothers me. Believes.
Right.
To me, that's like your opinion.
That's so vague, man. And so the officer is the one that
determines if it believes it may assist.
And mind you, it's saying assist with prosecution. I mean, all this is against us.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Permission for recording. A federal law enforcement officer may begin recording if the officer reasonably believes recording may assist with prosecution again.
Right.
Prosecution, enhance safety, or for any lawful purpose, and shall continue until the reason for recording ceases to exist. Yeah. Oh, man.
So, I mean, this bill is really for them, man.
A federal law enforcement officer should record any enforcement investigative stop. Audio recording shall terminate upon release of the violator and prior to initiating a separate criminal investigation. So I guess this is a pause in the video when they do it.
Right.
Recordings made on in-car video camera recording medium should be retained for storage of at least 30 days.
No, 90 days.
Yeah, 90 days. Under no circumstance shall any recording made on in-car video camera recording medium be altered or erased prior to expiration of the designated storage period. Upon completion of the storage period, the recording medium may be erased and reissued for operational use unless otherwise ordered is designated for inventory for training or training purposes. So you say at least 90 days. So let's say a police brutality thing happened on camera, right? And I guess this thing Well, you know, it takes forever for a cop to even be indicted.
Right.
It takes even longer for them to go to court. So what happens after 90 days pass? What do they say? Oh, it's been at least 90 days. We can go ahead and get rid of it.
They could do it.
And, you know, the evidence is gone.
Because you know how long it could take for them to even go to court, just like you said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was interesting, too. Section 374. Facial recognition technology.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah. No camera or recording device authorized or required to be used under this part may be equipped with or employ facial recognition technology, and footage from a camera or recording device may not be subjected to facial recognition technology.
So everything else is, you know, Facebook is able to facially recognize you, but when it comes to their cameras, they can't.
They can't.
Interesting.
And we remind you, you know, Facebook got a bigger database than the FBI when it comes to facial recognition, because we surrendered that right when you agree to the terms and conditions of Facebook.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, I watched a lot of the First 48. You know what I mean? That's just my thing, watching these crime shows.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how many criminals they catch by going to their Facebook page, bro. I'm talking about.
Right.
Before I recognize them, find out what their real names are, because, you know, you always use nicknames. They saw crimes. One guy, he took pictures from his getaway vehicle on Facebook.
You kidding me, yo?
Multiple times on Facebook, because they're posting everything.
Right.
It's been multiple times I've seen suspects have their the weapon in question. They take pictures of the guns and stuff on Facebook.
What?
And they go on Facebook and they find like, oh, that's the weapon they use in their murder. It's right there.
Snitch on themselves.
Snitch on themselves. They voluntarily submit the information.
Man, what was that song by MF Doom? Snitch. You know the other word?
Yeah. You're telling the truth.
Right. Telling on themselves, man.
Yep. And see, you know, he's real because MF Doom was in UK, right?
He was born in UK, came to the US in New York.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, but then he was deported.
He was deported?
Yeah, because I think it was a thing where they put MF Doom on some type of presidential playlist.
Yeah.
After he died and everything.
Right.
But it's funny because it was the Biden administration to make sure he didn't get home. He was like, I think he went overseas for a tour or something and couldn't get back in.
Wow.
It happened to him, but you remember, wouldn't remember. Slick Rick got deported.
Word?
Yeah. And he was deported for years, but he had a stabbing or something here. They deported him back to the UK.
Slick Rick was off the chain.
Yeah, and they finally let him back in. And it was Most Def. He was detained in South Africa for a while.
Right.
You know, but he came back to America, man. That is wild. Yeah. So this towards the end right here.
Yeah.
We dug through a good bit of this, man. We found some stuff and lots of it we didn't find. Yeah.
So I mean, if you guys want to look through the bill and maybe there's something we missed, but I mean, this big old bill for us, I'm really not seeing much for us. I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, something here at the bottom that kind of caught my eye here. Let me go up a little bit, because I remember seeing this right before we went live. Yep, right here. Yep. Yeah, the Admel laws penalizing engaging in sexual acts while acting under the color of law.
Right.
You know, so
basically it's something that, I mean, it forbids
it makes it a criminal offense for any make sure my face won't cover it. Makes it a criminal offense for any person acting on the color of law of the state or local government to engage in a sexual act with an individual, including individuals under arrest, in detention, or otherwise in the actual custody of any law enforcement officer.
Which you would think is already illegal.
And prohibits a person charged with an offense described in paragraph 1 for inserting the consent of the individual as the defense. Yeah, these things you think this should have been standard and wasn't, and somehow it's in this bill right now. Yeah, that's the last thing they caught my eye here at the bottom here. So, yeah, so you see this big bill here, man. This
long old bill.
Yeah, so we just kind of went through certain things that kind of stood out to us. So we see these headlines because, like I said, this is fresh news. This is came out between yesterday and this morning.
Right.
So in the next few days, probably see more people like the liberal media trying to push their sweeping reform, like Vox, worded it.
Right.
And we see what it really is, and
it's more for the cops than us. I mean, we're really not even mentioning the bill.
Yeah, right. Like we actually went through it. So anybody's trying to come through that mess, share this video with them. And in the link, like I said, we put the link in the chat where you can actually see the bill for yourself, because this is the real deal. This is not just a headline. We actually went through this whole bill.
this is the actual bill that went through the House.
That went to the House, that passed by the Democrats, now getting pushed to the Senate for a vote soon, I guess. And like someone mentioned in the chat, it's like a distraction for reparations and other stuff, which we're not expecting to be getting anyway. But
not here.
But a lot of black people still under that impression,
right?
Whatnot. So I appreciate y'all sticking with us tonight and reading this boring law books and bills and stuff, man. But part of the things we like to do, we want to be sitting here and ramble off our opinion, but we want to just show y'all source and facts here,
right?
And be informed of what's going on. And that's not knocking anybody else, because like I said, I like these other shows and hearing their viewpoints, but at least you can really see what's going on. But yeah, check out our website, check out our Discord. Thank you all for the Patreon patrons, supporters, Cash App, PayPal. We appreciate y'all for supporting this channel and what we're doing. And we always working on stuff we were just chopping it up before we went live about stuff the plans we have for the year, and we'll keep pushing forward and we want to do things outside of YouTube, right now, out here in the public, man. So it's so much we want to do, and this, we're just taking stepping stones and being consistent with the show. And this has been an amazing experience doing this show, man. Because I feel like we came so far in less than a year doing this.
Seriously, man.
And a lot of people went through a lot of hard times during this pandemic thing or C thing. But we took the opportunity to create something. We took the extra time to create something we wanted to do.
Right.
And we pushing forward. Well, I hope y'all have a great weekend. And like I say, have like, share, leave a comment. Upload this on Black Narrative. And we catch you on Tuesday night. You got anything else you want to add?
Stay vigilant.
All right, man. Well, shalom, everybody.
Shalom. Good night. And I'm Akis, and we're the Black Narrative.
We are a Black First and Hebrew Israelite channel on YouTube that broadcasts live every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every week, we discuss controversial issues and challenge false narratives that are fed to Black people through mass media. We share our research through videos and encourage uncomfortable conversations amongst the Black community.
Our show features topics such as exposing fact checkers, the racist history of medical research, the origins of so-called Black Greek fraternity organizations, Christian origins of HBCUs, and much, much more.
Look at The Black Narrative on YouTube or go to our website, www.theblacknarrative.tv.
Shalom.